I used to be terrified about reading aloud in school. In fact, I was actually terrified in my last job, even if I had to read out on a conference call. Now I run my own handmade business and I also teach others. I also share my handmade business journey online, all with dyslexia, which now I call my superpower. Did you know that 1 in 10 people suffer with dyslexia? And 35% of entrepreneurs actually identify as dyslexic. So if you think about that, 1 in 10 people are dyslexic, but 35% of entrepreneurs identify as dyslexic. Here's the one that I love the most. 40% of self-made millionaires are dyslexic. But on the other side, only 4% of children leave school with the qualifications that they need. And I am definitely one of these. I did not leave school with the qualifications that I needed. And here's the one that I find really sad. 50% of UK prisoners are dyslexic. And I definitely think this comes down to confidence, to feeling shame, to the way that our education systems actually teach. It causes us to feel fear and really affects our self-esteem as a dyslexic person. So are you a handmade business owner and do you struggle with neurodivergence or dyslexia? There are so many businesses like ours, the small handmade businesses, creatives. We are often neurodivergent. Like most of the people who I speak to about growing a handmade business do identify as ADHD, autistic or dyslexic just like me. And there are definitely struggles that come along with that. Do you struggle with reading emails? Do you struggle with actually prioritizing certain tasks? Do you put them off? I've absolutely been there. Do you struggle with planning, with organizing, with your memory? These are all things that we struggle with as being neurodiverse. We struggle with anxiety, we struggle with thoughts in our head going round and round. We often are overthinkers and it really does affect our self-esteem. It really does affect our confidence. It actually instills a lot of fear inside us. So if you're really struggling with your handmade business, and particularly if you are dyslexic, or even if you just are struggling with planning, struggling with a lot of different things in your handmade business, like the anxiety around it, the planning around it, reading emails. I'm going to share in this video exactly what I do to help me get around the problems that I have with dyslexia. And also I'm going to talk about the things that dyslexia actually helps me with. And I'm also going to talk about a few other neurodivergent people that I've worked with and ways that I have seen in the Artisan's Alchemy that their neurodivergency actually helps them and the things that actually don't help them one bit. So if you struggle with reading, writing, organising, or even just remembering names, this one's for you. And if you find videos about growing a handmade business online helpful, please click that subscribe button because I make way more videos just like this one on how to grow your handmade business. So hi, I'm Becky and I've had a handmade business now for 8 years, full-time for 7, and I have struggled a lot in that journey with my dyslexia. And I actually feel like when I used to work in retail, for the 10 years that I worked in retail, my dyslexia is part of the reason why I never had the confidence to kind of leave that job and move on to something more creative, which I knew that deep down I wanted to do. Maybe you can relate to a few of these things. So when I was in school, I actually used to be terrified of reading aloud, where I would just read the page over and over again to make sure I'd be able to do it because I was so scared that people would laugh at me. Because actually taking the information in and reading it out fast, it's not that I can't read, it's just that I can't do it in that way. To be able to read out loud is just really hard for me. Numbers are a thing that I've noticed more in my adult life, where when I'm saying a number out loud, so I might say 300,000, I'll just say 300 or 30 or 30,000. It's a really odd one, but yeah, I do that quite a lot and people get very confused when I'm trying to give them a number and it just doesn't quite add up. I also write things down quite strangely, like I'll probably put words in the wrong order. I also say things sometimes not in the right order, which you may have noticed in my videos. I don't always explain myself the best. I've had to really learn this skill of kind of talking on camera. It's not a natural skill that I've had, but I do find explaining myself and showing someone how to do something rather than explaining it on, especially writing it down, so much easier. And this is still true now in my business, which is why I do the tutorials that I do online. And confidence, maybe confidence has been a big issue for you too. It's been a huge issue for me in every single job or every single part of my life really. I've struggled with self-esteem and confidence because I've always kind of felt like I wasn't as good as everybody else. So I want to share a few testimonials from some of the people in my online course, The Artisan's Alchemy, who are also neurodivergent just like me. I wonder if you could give me just 3 to 4 words that describe how ADHD has made things like harder for you? Like what words would you come up with?
Chaos, overwhelm, focus. Like if I'm doing something, then before I know it, I'm like my brain's gone somewhere else,
Yeah.
like you've said as well, the confidence is a big thing for
Yeah.
me. The perfectionism is another one. Obviously,
Yeah.
that. That's
Huge.
another one for me. It's huge for me, actually. And when I'm overwhelmed, like there's no clarity in my head because it's so busy.
What has helped you with this within the Artisan's Alchemy?
I think when you did this like a business plan type thing, that really kind of helped me. Although I knew what my business was, I didn't have any direction, or your program. What it's kind of done is help me to kind of refine where I want to go with it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I had all these ideas, so many ideas. I still do. Don't get me wrong, I still do, but it's kind of given me a bit more structure. If I want to do YouTube, okay, I know where that is. I know where to go. I can go through that stuff. If I
Yeah.
want to look at my website, okay, there's a bit on Shopify. I know where to go. I know where to do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think having that and having those tools and having that guidance has been great. And when you were taking us through like how to cost down the materials and all that kind of stuff, I just thought, wow, this is a big thing. And I think the other thing I just want to point out is that weekly get together that we do. Oh my God, I love it.
I love it.
I love it. It's a, it's it, I look forward to it when it's like Tuesday or whenever we do it. Like, yes, we're gonna go. We got that. Like and some,
Yeah.
I feel like I belong somewhere where we're all kind of like, although we've got different businesses, we're in different parts of the world as well.
Yeah.
I just feel like I've just connected with everybody like in such a beautiful way. Like, and I feel like I'm at home, you know,
Yeah.
that
Oh, thank
feeling,
you.
that,
I love it too.
but you've created that. You've created that. And I think the fact that you do this for us every week. You're not somebody like, oh, I'm just going to do this once a month, because I think we'd probably just like get lost again, like, but the fact that you
Not
keep that
consistent.
go, yeah, I think because you keep it consistent, because you come with the topics, the structures, you come with the like, have you got any questions? Let's talk about your wins. We talk about things that have happened in the week, like you give us that space to be able to do that. And I think in a handmade business, when you are on your own,
Yeah,
I think it's so important to have that because
definitely.
when you don't have that, you feel very isolated. Well, I don't think there's anything out there
Yeah.
like what you've created. It's lovely to hear people's experiences, like the show that she did last week, and then Lynn was talking about her first sales, and
Yeah.
like you just feel like, oh my God, you're cheering everybody else on. I feel so happy for people.
So the first thing that I struggle with, like I've already just said, confidence. Confidence has been a thing that I really, really suffer with, and I always kind of thought that I was kind of dumb. I'm not gonna lie. I used to go to sleep at night and think I would love to wake up tomorrow and be clever and be able to read like my friends and be able to write like my friends. I was always kind of in the, what would they call it? It was called the Fuzz Buzz group in school, and everybody who was in that group in school could not read and write very well. And this really made me suffer and made me think that I was never just going to be a clever person or somebody who was going to be successful. Now, this carried on into adult life, and I actually thought that I was never going to be able to have a job that would be kind of like inspiring or like a job that I would kind of enjoy. I thought that I was always going to have to do a job that was very kind of like not entrepreneurial or something that was quite simple where I just have to kind of like work really hard. I never thought kind of like a job like this would be something that I could do because my confidence was so low. But also because of my dyslexia, I was very hardworking. Probably because I felt like I needed to make up for the fact that I couldn't do certain things that other people did. And it made me very hardworking, and also it made me very easy to be taken advantage of, because when I worked in my previous job, especially when I first started out, I would literally do anything they asked me to do. And at times where I do think this helped me be more successful because it made me kind of like move up to management level quite fast, it also, like I said, made me kind of have to do things that not everybody would do, for like working absolutely crazy hours and doing things like not taking my lunch break, not taking my breaks. Like, I'm not lying, I used to work for free quite a lot. Something that's really helped me with my confidence is knowing there are people out there who are dyslexic who've been extremely successful in their business. So for instance, Richard Branson is dyslexic and does obviously extremely well. Steve Jobs is dyslexic, and Anita Roddick, is it Riddick? She actually started here in the UK, not on the high street, which is one of Etsy's biggest competitors, not on the high street where people sell handmade goods. She's dyslexic. Studies actually show that dyslexics can be very big picture thinkers because we have to kind of like go around the houses more than other people. Our brain is kind of like has learned to work in a different way, which makes us really entrepreneurial and very good problem solvers. Something I've learned in my adult life is dyslexia is not a limitation, it's actually a superpower. I know there's always going to be things that we struggle with. You can't deny that. We're always going to struggle with certain things. But also I've learned that there's things that I can do so much better than probably someone who wasn't dyslexic. Like the visuals that I see in my brain and the way I can just like pick something up and just do it with my hands. I've always noticed I've been able to do things like that better than most people. For instance, when I was in college, I did textiles, and I noticed I only used to go in like a couple of times a week, but I would get twice as much work done as everybody else. And that's because like I kind of understand how to do things, and I see something in my brain and I can just kind of do it straight away. And you're probably the same if you're creative and you're a handmade business. And that is 1000% down to me being dyslexic. Knowing things like this and realizing things like this really helped my self-esteem and confidence, and make me realize now that no, I'm not dumb, and I never go to sleep now and think, oh, I wish I was clever and I wish I wasn't dyslexic. I'm actually proud of being dyslexic now. Now, obviously, a huge thing that I struggle with is reading and reading emails, especially when somebody sends me an extremely long email. I absolutely feel like, oh my God, this person has gone out to like write out this really long email, but it takes me so long to read it. And the same with like writing a reply or explaining myself in an email. I have to really think about how to kind of formulate that. I have learned over time a little bit better, like how to word an email and how to structure it. Like practice always, even when you're dyslexic, makes you better at everything. Don't think just because you're dyslexic you can't learn these things. You can. It's just, it takes me so much longer. It takes a lot more out of my day. And something that has really helped me with this is ChatGPT. And I know there's people out there that really hate ChatGPT and think, oh no, it's awful. Why can't you just write it out yourself? And I've seen a lot of like people comment in like Facebook groups and things saying, stop using AI, it's not fair on everybody else. But the thing is, it's not fair on us that we're dyslexic and we can't actually say what we want to say. Like, I really think that's unfair for people to say, don't use this thing, that there's a thing out there now that's going to help us dyslexic more than everybody else. Like, when I first found ChatGPT and that I could just put all the information into it, so it'll never write things that I don't tell it to write. So I'll tell it everything that I want to say so that it says the right things, but it'll just put it in the right order and say it in the right way and use words that actually make sense, because let's be honest, dyslexic people sometimes do not know what words to use. So we end up using a word that's probably not as descriptive or as good as we could use because we're dyslexic. And ChatGPT's really helped me with that. And this is one of the reasons why I am loving AI and think that it is going to be an amazing thing, especially for us being dyslexic and being neurodivergent as well. I think this is going to be I think this is going to really help us with planning, with organising, because we're such big thinkers, because we go around the houses and we're good problem solvers. With ADHD and autism as well, I think AI is going to really help us because it's already helping me so much. Now, another thing as well with explaining myself, I find it really hard. Like I said, I jumble words up. You may notice, like I said in my videos, sometimes I might say something that you're like, she said that a bit wrong. That's my dyslexia. And showing like images in a video or explaining things in kind of like an image way, like especially when I'm doing my DIY tutorials and showing people how to make things, that just connects with me so much because I learn visually. And if you learn visually and you are a very visual person, you're probably going to be able to teach better that way and also learn better that way. If somebody gave me a sheet of paper with instructions on it, I'm just like, but if somebody gives me a video, works so much better. And this has really helped me in my business because it's helped me be able to do DIY kits. Now, another thing that affects me with being dyslexic is processing and focus. Sometimes things can take me a lot longer to kind of process and learn, especially if I'm not interested in it. If I'm interested in it, it probably can take me like way less time than most people, but things can take me a lot longer to kind of think about and to get to the answer. So if I kind of go to a pub quiz, for instance, I find it way harder than other people to come up with the answers quite fast, unless it's a visual thing, or if it's a song, I kind of can understand what that song is. So if it was a quiz, for instance, and they would show you a picture, I know who that person is. The only thing is I can't remember the name. I do kind of have to think about things quite deeply before I come out with the answers, but this has trained my brain to be a really good problem solver, and it's taught me to really think about things really well. So when I'm trying to, like, for instance now, like, come up with a video and think about things I want to talk about, I find it really easy to come up with subjects to talk about, because the problem solving and knowing what people need to solve their problems becomes quite natural to me, because I've done it so much being dyslexic. Focus can be an issue because of being dyslexic, and I do find that, like I said, if I'm not interested in something, my mind wanders. If you read my school reports, and you're probably the same if you're dyslexic, they all kind of say, Rebecca's mind wanders, she's a daydreamer, she doesn't seem to be paying attention. But it's just my brain is so creative and so, like, just imagine it. My imagination can run wild, and that is what I'm doing when I'm doing this. Like, people sometimes talk to me and halfway through the conversation I just kind of go blank, and I'm probably thinking about something insane in my head, and I'm not doing it to be rude. It's just because my brain is so creative and thinks so visually, sometimes it just goes off on a tangent. This is why being a handmade business and being an entrepreneur and doing the thing that I love has worked so well for me, because when I do love something, I find it so easy to focus, and when something is quite imaginative and creative, I find that so easy. Like, I don't know if you have this, if you're dyslexic, but if somebody kind of says something to me, I'm almost imagining it in my head, like, as they're saying it to me. Like, bear with me. So the other day I was thinking about shipping, and I was looking at how to ship a certain item to myself, like my wholesalers. And it said you can ship by train, you can but you can send it by train, you can ship it, or you can do it by air. And as I'm literally reading it, and it's so funny, like, thinking of this, I'm imagining the train in my head coming with the parcel. I'm imagining the package on the ship in the crate. I'm imagining it on the plane. Like, I literally see it in my head as someone saying it to me. Huge dyslexic thing, and actually really, really clever, and like trains your brain to see things as they're happening. Now, something that really affects me, and this one really gets to me, like, to this day, and I have found ways to overcome it, but my memory is really bad. Like, in some ways, really, really bad. If I need to go somewhere and they say it's on such and such a road, and I've lived in my town that I'm in now for a long time, I don't know any of the names of the roads. Like, maybe a few, like, round here. Maybe maybe 3 of the roads around here I know the names of. Yeah, 3 names. And I don't know the names of any roads. I find it very hard to remember the names of roads, and even remembering the names of people, something that really gets to me, because it's not that I'm not interested in the person I'm talking to. It's just my brain does not, like, remember words and names very well. So I have to kind of say the name in my head over and over again. Tasks are another thing. Like, I can often forget certain tasks, especially if I'm not looking forward to doing that task. I will forget it. Now, what has really helped me is a weekly desk planner, and I go on about this quite a lot, how much I love my weekly desk planner, because it's out on my desk, it's not closed, and I can write down what I need to do, the most important things that I need to do that I won't remember, I write down on there, and it's helped me so much with my memory. And when I know I'll forget something, I can write it down in the notes next to it. Like, a desk planner for me is absolutely a game changer, and I actually learnt this in my retail job that I had. They actually brought something into the way that they work, where they did this kind of like walkthrough, they would call it, where you would write down all the stuff that you would do all day, like from each section. This is what we need to do, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. And that kind of taught me to write things down, and it really helped me. And that was literally my Bible every day, and it made me get so much more done than I did before I did it. To do a walkthrough and look at the things that you need to do on a daily basis and write it all down, for me, it takes it out of my head, and it makes me feel more comfortable, and just, it's so nice. Like, for instance, now if I thought I don't have anything to do, I could go around with a notepad and just note down, like, right, what stuff do I need to restock, or what needs tidying, and just write down all my ideas, and then write down that, and put that onto my planner on the things that I need to do. So it also helps with being productive. Like, you may think you have nothing to do, but writing things down sometimes can make you realise, oh, there is actually a bunch of things that I need to do. Another thing that I've noticed in a few of my students is, especially people who are ADHD, seem to have really, really amazing ideas because their brain kind of works so fast and they have so many thoughts in their head quite a lot. I have noticed that a lot of creative entrepreneurs who are ADHD have so many amazing ideas, and again, because they're perfectionists, because they overthink everything, when they do create something, it's always really beautiful and done to such a high standard. But the problem with that sometimes is, because they have so many thoughts, that they doubt themselves quite a lot, and the imposter syndrome gets into their heads quite a lot, and they have so many ideas that which one to focus on can be an issue. And that's something that I do help a lot of students with in the Artisan's Alchemy. I help them with ways to plan and get them ideas, them amazing ideas that an ADHD brain can give somebody, and put them down into order. And also people who suffer with autism can often suffer with kind of anxiety and worry about things, starting things that are new. And we also support people who not are just autistic, but everybody who suffers with them kind of issues, who worry about starting something new or having an anxiety around starting maybe a handmade business or just posting about it online. We all kind of support each other in the Artisan's Alchemy. And that's the way that I do help some of my students who are neurodiverse. So I want to know about you now. Are you dyslexic or are you neurodiverse? Like, it doesn't matter if you've even been diagnosed. If you know, you know. And I think there's a power in kind of admitting that to yourself, that you are quite different to most people and you are definitely not neurotypical. I do see that people often I do think that people often are against this kind of idea of realising that we're different, but no, it's power. So please don't listen to those people that say, do we have to have a name for this or that? Yes, we do, because it makes us feel, for me, when I found out I was dyslexic, it gave me so much power, and I knew then why I was different, and it can really help your confidence. So I want to know again, are you dyslexic? Are you neurodiverse? Has this kind of made you think, oh my God, I'm like that? Or I suffer with that in my handmade business. I want you to comment down below something in this video that you could relate to, something that you've suffered with in your handmade business and growing it. I want you to comment down below what that is, and I would love to chat with you down there. So I really want to put a strong emphasis on the things that being dyslexic can really, really help you with. We are huge, big picture thinkers. We see things that other people might miss. We are strong creatives. We see things visually in our brain, which makes us really good at being creative, really good at looking at inspiration and turning it into something truly unique. We are great at problem solving. We're also great at kind of like storytelling, being really imaginative with the way that we explain ourselves. We have these absolutely crazy ideas because we're constantly imagining these amazing things that we can bring to life in our own businesses. We are often very, very resilient because of the things we've had to deal with in our lives, like not being neurotypical and being able to do the things that everybody else could in school or in the first job that you had. You couldn't kind of do those things quite well, which has made us extremely resilient, but also be aware that that sometimes can make us be easy to take advantage of because we want to kind of overperform. So always look after yourself and make sure you're not being taken advantage of, like I did when I was working constantly through my breaks and my dinners for years, and working for a very large company that working for free for an extremely large company for very rich people, and working for free for them. We have an amazing community in the Artisan's Alchemy where we talk about our handmade businesses every single week on our private Facebook group, and our live calls that we use every single week to talk about like these kind of things, like things that we're suffering with in our business, things that we're struggling with, and ways that we can overcome that. I also have a step-by-step guide with lots of different lessons, worksheets, things that can help you grow in your handmade business, just like I did as a dyslexic. So if that sounds like something that would help you in your journey as a handmade business owner, please book a call below. It's just a no pressure chat to see what your dreams and goals are, to talk about what you do in your handmade business. So book a call below and I can't wait to chat. So if you're finding these videos helpful, please make sure that you subscribe because there's way more coming just like this. And if you'd like to check out these videos here with more helpful tips and advice for your handmade business, then please do. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.